What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this clip that you're about to see, this whole segment of the first part of this video, I filmed this, I lost the card, and you know, I just happened to be digging through my camera bag because I just edited a video last night doing part 1 on this ChrisSadowski here. I'm working on part 2 today. That's what we're here for. But when I went to, you know, start my camera, I was like, oh, no card in the camera because I left it in my computer at home. Dug through my bag, found this SD card, and I was like, oh damn, I never got to finish that video. So we're just gonna add on to that. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're having some fun today. So well, obviously you kind of just saw behind me, got this sick ass Mustang on the lift, and she got some meat, boys. So this thing's twin turbo, running the slicks. You know, he's got the skinnies up front here, but this isn't what we're working on today. This is what I'm working on tomorrow, but I'm not going to film it because all I'm doing is basically just installing this exhaust. I just got to modify it to fit. What we're working on today is my S2000, and I'm going to pull it in, and you'll hear exactly why we're working on it, because I kind of did some stuff with the track day, you know, just consumable stuff, but we need some parts on it. So let's pull this thing in really quick, and I'll give you guys a rundown on what we're doing. I need to reset my oil light. I just changed my oil before this track day. Ignore that. He just put his buddy club back on because he had to put my stock one on to pass sound at the track day.
I can finally hear again.
Yeah, it was a quiet, stocky boy before. So, all right, let's see if you guys can hear this. Actually, you want to take the camera and you can hear it while I'm rolling.
Yeah.
Oh my god. If you didn't guess it by now, we're doing some brakes because I completely smoked out the last of the pads on this thing. Now don't get me wrong, it's not like, you know, I had a brutal track day or did anything crazy like that. It was just the issue that I had was I run stop techs up front here. These still have some life on them, but whatever was on the car from when I first bought it, I never changed out the rears, and that's where we're having the issue. So this side just, well actually no, this side's got a tiny bit of meat left on it, but it's this side over here that is just smoked. There's no pad life left. So to replace those, I got me a full set of these, which these are the most recommended ones from all the S2000 track guys, whether, you know, they're running big power or whatever, until you decide to go big brakes, which I don't have the money for because the only one that I've been told is worth getting is the StopTech ST40 kit. So we got some fronts and we get some rears. Now these are the Power Stop track day formulas. These are, what's the part number on here? The PSA 829. Okay, yeah, so if you get the PST, that's like the street ones. Apparently they're junk. They're not really any good for, you know, much. But these track day ones are supposed to be pretty darn nice. Now, the only concern I have is just locally, because the braking procedure is pretty brutal. They want 10 aggressive stops from 60 to 10, and then 80 to 10, and then a cooldown period. I don't really have much roads around here where I can get up to 80 and smash it down to 10, you know, 10 times in a row. So I don't know, but, you know, it's a nice, easy day, hopefully. Just slap some pads on. Should be pretty straightforward. No need to go into great detail, but let's at least show you the pads here. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy in coloration or nothing, but we're going to slap these on really quick and, yeah, go break them in, hopefully. So I just did the other 3 corners. Obviously this isn't some sort of brake tutorial, but we're about to see the final one, and my only concern is that this corner is metal to metal, whereas the other corner just had a little bit of life left. So I'm hoping that's just, you know, slide pins needing greasing, but oh, goodness gracious. Okay, that one was pretty bad. Oh boy. Yeah, no, I smoked those. There's nothing left. Yeah, I'm really hoping this thing's not sticking though. Only one way to find out. Definitely, you know, greasing the slide pins while I'm in here, because the other side, like I said, I haven't touched the rear brake since I bought the car. This was all on here, so I'm assuming it's probably just, you know, grease is all dried out in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all wrapped up really quick, and we're hoping for the best. Well, we should be good to go. Wheels are torqued down, you know, brakes are all done. I just, you know, finished sucking out the little bit of fluid that was going to overflow. Torqued the wheels. Yeah, we should be all set. So all that's left now is I got to do the, you know, the break-in procedure. And like you guys saw, I showed you on the box, it's quite a extensive one. Normally it's just like, you know, a couple 60 to 10 mile an hour stops and then cruise around without touching the brakes for a minute. These ones, obviously twice as much. 10 60 to 10s and then 10 80 to 10s, so there must be a lot of friction material they want you to transfer over on these brakes. I'm gonna have to try and baby them on the way home, and then over by my house there's some open back roads where you can usually, you know, get up to speed. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that later this afternoon, try and wait for traffic and everything to die down so I don't have to deal with anybody. It'll probably be at dusk, but we'll throw the GoPro on and we'll try and get that knocked out, and I'll let you guys know kind of how they bite. The stop techs, honestly, they were pretty darn good. It's just they held up, you know, honestly for like 3 track days, and I want to say about 35,000 miles of road use, and they still had a little bit of pad life left. The only complaint I had realistically was they just didn't have enough bite, and they created a lot of dust. Now these ones, I'm told, will create a good amount of dust, but at least I'll get the bite that I need out of these ones. But otherwise, you know, the stop techs are a great pad. These ones are just supposed to be even better. I'm out breaking in the pads right now, or bedding the pads, and damn, these things got some bite. They also spark, which is kind of cool. Right now, I got them damn hot, that's for sure, because I found this section of road that's straight and pretty dead, but there's a couple stoplights, so I've been making the U-turns at the lights and just kind of ripping, and I just did the ones where you go from 80 to 10, and when I went to the stoplight to turn around, they were smoking pretty good. So now I'm doing the cool down right now, you know, hence why I'm cruising around. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how they'll feel now that I bedded them, but at least while they were unbed, the pedal pressure was right up top and it felt good. So I'm pretty excited to see how these things feel. I'll let you know. I mean, I wanted to film bedding them, but I was doing it on my way home from the shop. Didn't feel like going to get my GoPro. So yeah, pretty cool. Hopefully you enjoyed that segment of the video. The S2000 brakes feel much better, although I do feel I'm probably going to find some sort of street pad now to drive on, because these, you know, I don't want to eat my rotors up and destroy these wheels with the dust that these power stops make, the track day pads. But welcome to part 2 of the ChrisSadowski video. Let me show you the progress we made. So today I am trying to work on the majority of the sheet metal here. So there's going to be little areas, like I'm going to have to figure out what to do about, you know, transitioning or boxing this section in, and then I got to worry about laying sheet metal down here to fill in the gaps that go along there. But for the main part, I'm just doing the top and side. So it's going to be a 3-piece design. So top plate here, I'm going to leave this whole section open for now, because this is obviously where the shifter is going to go. I don't know how big the shifter is. So again, in the meantime, this whole section will be open. So that's going to get plated. And then this is all going to, you know, get a sheet. And then over here is going to get a sheet, except for this little sensor port here. This thing has to have a little cutout so he can, you know, hook the connector up. And then he wants a little removable section right here for filling it. So that's kind of what I got going on. I'm going to try and make some paper templates to fill this whole thing so I can, you know, not waste a bunch of sheet metal. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out for this, and then I will go in later with Rivnuts and then make a detachable Rivnut panel that he can just bolt and unbolt to access that. And then as for this piece, I'm just gonna kind of notch out for that and build around it, if that makes sense. This is basically what we got going on for the day. My objective for today, it is Wednesday. It's already 10:30 in the morning. You know, it's been a rough week for me so far, mentally, you know, emotionally. Had to put one of our dogs down. So it's just, you know, I'm just still working on getting in the right mindset of wanting to work in the first place. So just making myself easy for the day and easy for the video, since I realize now obviously that I had some extra footage laying around. I'm just trying to get the base of the sheet metal in here. And if you're just popping in because you happen to be doing the same swap, 2J with the CDO9, and you somehow come across this video, hopefully this gives you a rough idea of kind of what your guy or you are going to have to do to make it fit. And again, I'm just winging this. I've never done this before. This is how you learn. I'm just happening, you know, I just happen to have some experience with metal, so it kind of gives me a head start. So I'm going to eat some breakfast really quick, Red Bull and a freaking Uncrustable, you know, breakfast of champions, and we'll get cracking, we'll get some templates cut up, and we'll show you what we're doing. So I filmed 2 other clips. Basically, I was showing you what I'm using to bend this stuff. I got myself a nice little Eastwood rod bender, and this thing has worked really good so far. So this is what I bought. You throw this piece in the vise like that. Well, I should say like that, since I got to use it here in a sec. So that goes there, and then you basically figure out which die you want. I already have the die on there, which is this little guy, and then you're just bending like that. So I mean, you know, tighten it down, figure out which way the rod has to sit on there for you to bend it, but you get the idea. And then I'm using the construction paper, you know, crafting paper, whatever, poster board. And so like this is the piece I just made for the top. The reason I'm filming on the phone all of a sudden is because I remember now why that memory card was stuffed way in the bottom of my bag. It keeps corrupting video files. So enjoy the video that you've seen so far. The rest of this we'll have to try and catch up here on the phone. I just don't have a thing for the tripod for my phone, so I'll just have to do it like the last video. I apologize. I can't get as much, you know, shots of me actually working, but I'll figure something out. But yeah, we'll get some work done regardless. But that's what I'm doing at the moment. I got the top template made, but before I can make these side ones, I need to make a rod that comes across here on both sides to square it up, and then I may try and make one that goes diagonal. I don't have much rod left, and this is already, you know, pretty darn solid. I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna work on that really quick, and then we'll carry on. Actually, wouldn't you know it, sweet, I got one of these, and I got one of these fancy camera rigs, so I can thread this right onto my camera like that. Okay, so we got a tripod, sweet. So because the rod is long and the transmission is curved, like I'm going around it, I'm gonna just use the tape measure, add a little extra, get my bend angle somewhere in there, and then from there I can just, you know, trim the excess off. So roughly 8 1/4 inches. Come here, mark that off. Make a cut. Okay, so got it there. Now to find the bend angle, I'm kind of going off of eyesight. You know, you'll kind of figure out your bender once you make a few bends, you know, with the radius die or whatever you're using. So this case, I kind of want it to sit upwards like that, but I need it to bow out here, so I'm probably going to do the bend somewhere right down here. Now the trick is that bend, like the line that you make for your bend, that's going to sit right in the middle of your die in this case. On like a 2 bender, it's different, but in this case, that's how I use this machine. Feed it through here. This is the way that I know it has to go. So we will have it right about there in the middle, and we don't need much of a bend, so this is kind of where you play with it a little bit. So probably start with, it's probably like a 25, 30 degree bend. So let's see how that works. So that's looking pretty close, but you can see I'm hitting there. So I am gonna need to throw a second bend in there. So I'm gonna make a bend mark right before that, and then we're gonna curve right around that, and we'll be touching right up here. Got that second bend in there. You see we got plenty of clearance now. So now literally all you do is you just trim that little tip off. You kind of tuck it in there to where it's, you know, relatively flush. I'll pull this one in just that last little bit, and then I can go ahead, tack that into place, and that'll be good. I'll copy that to the other side. Now you can probably tell by now this tunnel, like the whole floor area, everything in here is not very symmetrical. That's obviously not the point. If the car is symmetrical, try and, you know, copy that, but this one, it's really not. I mean, my S2000, like factory S2000s, like the floorboards are so, you know, asymmetrical. Like the passenger side looks and shaped way different than the driver's side. So if anybody, you know, if any of you are watching that thinking like, oh, this side looks, you know, this side has more gap over here than that side, it's like, that's normal for this situation. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and trim that up, tack it in place, and I'll do the other side. Got the passenger side squared up, so we're looking pretty good there. And now moving on to the sheet metal work. I'm trying to pace myself on this because, you know, there's a lot more to here than just, you know, some rod and some sheet metal. So like, for example, this whole tail section here, I have no idea what I'm going to do for this to box this all in, because I don't know how much we need, because the shifter that he's buying, normally this is the factory shifter location, you know, it's like a weird thing that comes over to here. So for now, I may just leave this open till the guy gets the shifter 100% sorted, and then maybe have him bring it back. I'm not sure, but in the meantime, before I overwhelm myself, I already, like I said, drew this piece up on the top. So next up, I'm gonna start working on patching in these side pieces. Just to give you guys an idea of what we're starting to look like, you can kind of picture what the panel is gonna look like with everything on there. So we're doing a pretty good job. So I'm thinking almost, now that I'm seeing this come together myself, trying to get in here, sorry. I may just end up boxing this to the shape of the metal there, instead of trying to bring it back and tie it in, but I'm not totally sure on that yet. We'll kind of see. I'll have to give it the owner of the car and kind of see what they're thinking, but again, that's for the end piece. I'm not too worried about that now. For now, again, focusing on this. So got that side done. I forgot to make the notch for the sensor, but I can just, you know, stick my hand back there with a Sharpie really quick, mark out where it needs to be, and we'll be, you know, smooth sailing. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on these front pieces next, and then once I have them all roughly traced out on the stock, paper stock here, I will start trying to cut them out of sheet metal. So yeah, and the trick is, like, make sure your templates are pretty good, but when it comes to the sheet metal, oversize it like an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and then trim it back. It's much easier to trim it back than it is to, you know, waste the material or try and add it in with weld. You know, measure thrice, cut twice type thing. So okay, so fresh day now. Hopefully this memory card holds up. So picking up where we left off yesterday, just gonna do the last bit today. So this is where I've made it so far. Now it doesn't look the worst. Honestly, I'm not the happiest with it, mostly because, you know, I had a better vision, sorry, trying to get in the car, in my head. And obviously I just don't have, you know, again, first time doing this, I don't have totally the right equipment for this. And then with the asymmetricality of the car, it's just very difficult to make this super linear and super clean looking, especially with the big ass transmission. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Some of you guys might think it looks great. Some of you, you know, may have more experience and think it looks like booty cheeks, but, you know, overall it is what it is. So really the only parts that I'm not happy with is, you know, this dent here. So it creased here, so I'm gonna have to drop the transmission anyway to get some inside welds. So I'm gonna try and smack that out so that's a little bit more even. And then just right here, there was no way for me to get that to transition smoothly since I don't have a finger brake. I just have my metal brake. So that's why I kind of got these weird humps here, because I had to, you know, cut and try and bend in, but I couldn't get rid of the, you know, the crease entirely. So, you know, it is kind of what it is. As for this whole back section, again, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I can't figure that out until he provides me with a shifter. So that's going to be, you know, off camera another day. So today's objective, just to finalize this tunnel per se, I'm going to just make a little patch piece for that. And then I'm going to make the boxing piece for this. And then I'm just going to try and make the little trapdoor for this. I still want to use Rivnuts or weld nuts of some sort, probably Rivnuts, but we'll see, because I'm kind of limited on space because of, you know, where the rods are behind it. But I'll figure that section out. And then that's pretty much going to have to wrap this up. At least until I get the drive shaft, which he's going to come later today and take some measurements to email to the drive shaft dudes. And then once I have the drive shaft, we can make a video on how to make the drive or the rear training mount, which, you know, mine's already half made, like I mentioned, kind of a mock-up. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go get cracking on this stuff, and I'll show you guys the progress once I make some. So this is the patch that I have made for the left side. So this is the one that is going to cover the connector, or, you know, give the connector space to be plugged in. So that's going to go pretty much just like that, and then I'm going to just tack it and fill the weld around it. So pretty easy. It's just, you know, normal 16 gauge that I bent at, like, I don't know, 20-30 degree bend in the middle, and then just traced out 2 triangles, and I just pulse welded it together and just blended it with some Scotch-Brite. Yeah, looks pretty sleek, eh? Owner of the car just came by, approved of the work so far. We're looking pretty good. And again, you know, if anybody has any negative comments about the combination of, you know, components, you know, that's not what I'm here to discuss. Some people would have used a different transmission, but this is what this guy chose. So Yeah, panel's made. Gonna just, like I said, use some foam around it. Right now, I'm currently working on putting the dash bar back in because at the moment I'm at a standstill. I can't go any further until we get the new shifter in. He opted for using the rear mount one instead of the top mount one, so gotta wait for that. May have to trim more out. And then I can't do anything. He just came and got measurements for the drive shaft. So, you know, once the drive shaft comes in, then I can at least finalize the tranny mount. But till then, I need it off my lift and out of the way for more work that I got coming in. So I'm putting the dash bar back in right now so I can put the steering column in so I can steer this thing out of here. But that's kind of what we've got going on. So, I don't know. Progress is progress, I should say. So next time you guys see the car, if I make a third part to this series, you know, it's going to be pretty much the finishing touches on making the mount. Well, I know I'll probably end up filming the mount, so be looking out for that. But when you guys see this, the tunnel work is going to be more or less finished up. He's going to be doing the seam sealing and such. And this is pretty much just going to, you know, kind of be it. I mean, you guys get the gist of it. So hopefully you're following along and, you know, enjoying it. I know these videos aren't getting much views, so I'm not too worried about, you know, all that stuff anyway. But if you guys did enjoy it, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hopefully by now you've considered subscribing. If you want to, you know, send me stuff, I have a P.O. box that you can send it to. If you want to support the channel, by all means, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing the channel. That is the best way to get, you know, me out there, and that helps me greatly, and I truly appreciate you guys that do that. So, anyways, guys, do what you love. Figure out the rest. Thanks for spending some time with me here today. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.